Welcome to the Gyms podcast. I'm your host, Joel Kleber, and this podcast is designed to share stories of our franchisees, franchisors, Jim himself, and other members of the Gyms family that we think you might find interesting. If you are researching our brand, we've got a previous back catalogue. There's so many great episodes that you can find online. And if you do like what you hear, please make sure you leave us a thumbs up on YouTube if you're watching, or online as well. We really do appreciate the support. Without further ado, here's today's episode. So thanks for jumping on the podcast, Geoff. Now, this is on the Mowing Podcast in our Gyms Group 1. And first of all, we want to present you with a core voucher, which is a new reward for franchisees we're bringing out. And it's basically 2 free nights at any core accommodation, I think, in the world. So there's a lot of not just Australia, and also you get half-price meals and all these discounts and stuff. It's a big thank you from us for being a good representation of the brand and a way of giving back a little bit. So we'll get that to you, Geoff, after the interview. But let's start off with a bit about yourself. So people might have seen your face on the Today Show. You've been on, I think, Channel 10. You've been on The Project. So maybe you want to start a bit about yourself, Geoff, and your journey and how did you come to Gyms Mowing?
12 months ago, I had an issue with my own personal finances, being in a very serious car accident that took us a few years to get over. I tried to keep businesses running while we were recovering from injuries. And unfortunately, it was very difficult to do and drained a lot of our resources. And then to the second fold was we have a daughter and son-in-law in Perth who had fallen on hard times health-wise, and they were talking in relation to coming back home to Queensland. They had 2 very good friends in Perth who had Gyms Mowing franchises, and they were doing extremely well. So I thought, right, well, I'll ring up and find out about this Gyms franchise situation, and I did. I got very interested because there's other people we know have Gyms Mowing franchises. As it turned out, we ran into this bloke called Dan Cahill, who was raving on that he'd done $300 and something thousand a year in the first year. And I said, well, brilliant. What a load of crap. So my wife said, right, get on the plane, go down and sort this out. And I did. And I met Dan, and the first thing I said, we were in the lecture hall. He got up and beat his chest and gave the big spiel. And the first question I asked in front of 100 people was, how can you do over $300,000 worth of work in Melbourne with the weather you've got down there? You can't work every day. But my feasibility and my research, I thought, well, this young bloke must have put staff on, because there's no one in the world he could have achieved that by himself. And that was exactly the first reply, was that he started within the first 2 months, he started putting staff on, and then the rest followed suit. And that's exactly what happened to me up here. Within the first 2 months, I had to start putting staff on, and the rest is just history. I haven't got to his figures in the first 12 months, but it's mainly because I'm going on to 80 and I'm not as fast as he was. But the work is definitely there. I cannot believe the potential there is for everyone. There is no excuse whatsoever for anyone to be out of work in Australia. The amount of work, the independents that have come to us asking for help because they're that busy, and I've been asking independents for help because they've been that busy, and it is really unbelievable. I should have done this years ago. And as you know, I've been in mining and construction, and I can tell you my income now is a lot better than it was in the mines.
I was going to say, Geoff, do you want to tell everyone just what is your age as well? So you reckon you sign
up? I'm going on to 80, young man, and we'll leave it at that, because I've got a trademark now, which I think Jim has approved, with a question mark behind it.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about. And you're older than Jim, so we'll leave it. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that. But you can let him know now that I don't know how many grandkids he's got, but when we first met, he couldn't believe that I'm still mowing lawns at my age. Plus, I've got 14 grandkids, and when I met him, I had 6.5 great grandkids. So I now have 7 great grandkids.
I was going to say, Geoff, when we put your videos online before, you do get that comment where people say, I'd hate to be working at that age still. Why isn't he retired by now? I'm going to be retired on a beach when I'm, his age or whatever. So what would you say to sort of those younger people who sort of say that in response?
Well, if you go and it's not just the Gyms Mowing franchise either. It's anything. If you like doing something, for sure, if they make the phone call, they'll find they have a franchise for whatever they want to do. And it's not work. I haven't enjoyed myself so much in the last 12 months that I have done for a long while. And it's the young people, it's at the stage in this economic times that you can make good money at something you like doing. And that's what has kept me going, is the people we've met, the friends we've made. And not only that, as you'll probably have heard or known, there's other things that I've got a really good crew now that's running 2 separate areas for me. So this will be the 6th time I've retired, but I'll be getting into other areas that we've already discussed that I may be able to help in the gyms group. But to the young people of today, and I've had 14, 15-year-old kids say to me, I don't have to go to school. I hate school. I don't want to go to school, and no one can do anything about it. And I can't wait to turn 16. I can leave school and go on the dole. That's what we've bred as a nation of, and I said that up in Ayr to a very nice gentleman who's been teaching in Ayr at the same school for 45 years. And he said, Geoff, that's the norm nowadays. When I told him that story, when he first started teaching, he had classes of 50 people and you could hear a pin drop. Nowadays, the teachers can't even say no to them.
I was going to say now, Geoff, as well, do you want to maybe talk to people about the training experience? So tell them about the training itself. So you flew down here, down south of the border, to the very cold south of the border. And do you want to tell people about the training experience and what you learned here when you were at the Gyms Group head office?
Well, I met you for a start. That was the first problem. And then the next problem, I think Jim's still looking for that shirt that I knocked off when you put it on me. And
yes, that's true. You took that. Yes, $70 shirt.
Yeah, I sneaked it out the back door, and then when I went up to the training thing, they said, "Where'd you get that shirt from?" I said, "I forgot to take it off." But that would have been a highlight of my life. I can tell you, I've been in mining and construction. I've been to meetings all over the place. I've been working. I've even had to go to Italy for work and stuff like that. But that week down there was the most entertaining, was the most educational. It helped me at my age put my feet back on the ground. Everything about the whole training, from the initial introduction to what can be done, what needs to be done, and the backup that I've found that gyms have, the computer program. Now, a lot of people have said to me, Geoff, I don't want to buy a franchise because they take a percentage of this and a percentage of that. And no one's worked out the expenses are covered. I spend nearly $200 a month on accounting package. I don't have to, I've saved gym fees by going out and working. I don't have to go to a gym to try and keep fit at my age. And I didn't want to go home, except the weather turned really bad. We had good weather, but then I kept thinking about being back home where the sun shines most of the time. The hospitality, and Jim himself, I've never met a more down-to-earth, feet on the ground bloke than what I've learnt there being introduced to Jim. I'm not going to ask for a pay rise or anything like that, but I can see some very good opportunities coming out of the woodwork from what I've learnt in the first 12 months that I've been here.
And what's your so you went back home into your first week of business. What was the first week like in doing gyms mowing back when you were up in Queensland?
Very difficult question. Once I knew that I was flying down to do the training and I had everything set up, I already had a trailer organised before I even signed up, and so on and so on. So I hit the deck running. But what happened, I did the letterbox drop and never got one inquiry back. I had a few mowing jobs. I actually did some mowing jobs before I'd even signed up. But I was ready to roll. And then I thought, gee whiz, I'd done some training with blokes in Mackay, and I thought, good, I think I can improve on this, and so on and so on. And then I found the unserviced leads. My wife added up 126 unserviced leads in May 2000, when I started, which was 2022. So I said, righto, Dan, I'm going to Townsville. He said, you can't do that. It's 4 hours away. You won't make any money. The rest is history. Now, I haven't got the over his $300,000 mark, or I wasn't far off it in the first 12 months. And that's what I've done. I opened up from Townsville right the way through to Mackay. And I've learned, Dan went through 29 people to get the right crew. I've been through 17 already, and I'm down to a really good crew to run 2 areas for me. And the rest, I'm just going, now that I've got them organised, I can expand my operations in other areas. But it's been easy for me because of the distance I'm travelling. I actually told Dan he didn't have a clue what he was talking about. And on an email the other day, he admitted he's still got a lot to learn. But that's me being in mining and construction. That's what happens. You've got to go and get the work done, and you create things to make things work.
So let's tell people, Geoff, then how do you run your crew? First of all, how do you hire people? Because you've gone through a lot. How do you hire people? And then what sort of equipment setup are you doing? And how do you sort of structure your teams? Maybe from a business side, sort of talk to another, let's say, mowing contractor in terms of what you do.
Yeah. First of all, we started some people. My wife and I were messing around mowing lawns and talking to people. And then we started with young blokes giving us a hand, and we were going 2-3 up in our car with our trailer and trying to get as much work done as we can. And then it built up from there. And when we first started, there was a lot of new franchisees up in Townsville and Mackay. I even paid their accommodation to come down and work with us until they had their trailers organised or they finished their training or whatever. So we used the new franchisees to help build the business up. And then they're all set up now. I transferred a lot of jobs that I had already created over to them for them to keep running. And then I just kept going and going through staff until you get the right crew. And I think a lot of other people, that's all you can do nowadays, just keep going through people until you get the right crew. And not everyone wants to mow lawns. And that's what I found out. All the other independents, the dog wash, the car detailing and all that, they're all run off their feet. So we really need a lot more franchisees. Where I initially thought, gee, what's going on here? You've got a franchisee in Mackay in all these little suburbs, but by gee, the work is there. At the turn of last century, the biggest employment in Australia, if not the world, was service to the household. They had the gardeners, they had the cooks, they had the cleaners. It's the same nowadays, only more so, but we're all contractors instead of being on wages for the household.
And how do you structure your business for the week? How many clients does your crews have, or how many clients do you do roughly a week or fortnight in your business?
We're a bit hit and miss because I've got a regular crew. I've had to close my books 2 months ago, and I'm concentrating on a lot of NDIS. I'm concentrating on a lot of public trustee jobs where we've got to clean houses out and so on and so on. So I have a core crew every week of 20 or 30 people, but I've got to make plenty of spare time for these bigger commercial jobs that need to be done on the spur of a moment. So I can duck shove things around then. We take the whole crew. If I've got one job in one area, say Home Hill, for instance, I'll transfer the crew from Cannonvale, Airlie Beach, where the sun shines most of the time, and I'll transfer them up and we all get in and do one job. And I'm talking these jobs are anywhere from $7,000 to $10,000. So we've gone away from the normal $60, $70, $80, $90 mowing jobs, and we're getting it through to the public where we can increase our figures. We don't just go and mow a job. We give a quote to mow and do gardening at the same time. When we go inside their property, we go in there to make sure that their property is taken care of. And we've got a lot of independents, won't even pick up a palm prompt. They'll mow around it. We've got independents that when they've got one bloke on a whippersnipper and one bloke on a ride-on mower, when that ride-on mower is finished, it goes on the trailer, and whether the whippersnipping's finished or not, that whippersnipper's turned off and it goes onto the trailer because they have to do 10 yards a day to make money at $50.
And when you say $7,000 to $10,000 job, can you just tell people what does that type of money and job equate to, and how do you actually get those jobs? Because it's people just see that going, "Wow, how did you get it? Is it from Jim's leads or from yourself or your connections? How do you actually get a job like that? What's actually involved in doing a job like that?"
Well, it's all started from performance. We got one job because someone else couldn't make it, so they gave it to us, and the things follow suit. The public trustee, we did one job for them. Now we've got all their work. We had a job up here in Ayr to refurbish the Shell garage, and it was in pretty poor state, but they were waiting for contractors for 6 months to get in there and clean it up. We got in, I stopped all the other work, made excuses, apologised to all the customers. We had to get this done. That led to the council giving us all their work, blah, blah, blah. So one thing, it just folds off one after another, but you have to perform, you have to do a good job. And one of the most satisfactory things that I've had in the last 12 months is people that have been living in their house for 40, 50 years, have got health problems and have had to call in an independent mower, and for them to stand back and say, this yard hasn't looked this good in 50 years, that's what it's all about. And we don't time ourselves. We get in there and we go out when the job is finished and we're happy with the quality of it.
And let's talk through your equipment setup. So what equipment are you running? Obviously on TV, you were using some certain type of stuff, but what sort of equipment do you use in your business, or do you find that works best for you?
Well, I found that we have various ride-on mowers for various jobs. We've got Hustler, which was featured on TV or something. I use that for mowing the acreages. I've got two other ride-on mowers that I use for sort of slashing and mulching, and the other one is to do golf courses and pick the cuttings up. And I've got all battery-operated still gear that has got the hedges, the pole hedges. I don't think there'd be anything that we haven't got that is on the market. So we cover a wide range of equipment for particular jobs.
Do you have any, do you make your crews have any maintenance schedules with it, or how do you maintain the gear, or do you give them different gear, or everyone uses the battery gear, or what are you running? Because there'd be a lot of gear for you to have to manage equipment. So how do you keep track of that, and how do you make sure it's maintained?
Well, the new staff that we've got on, the new manager I've got down there at Airlie Beach, he has all his own petrol gear. It's the same gear still, and Toro mowers. All that gear is petrol. Now, I've started to accumulate a few petrol-operated gear because the main core of the business revolves around our trailer. Now, down we've got the second trailer now. We're looking at the third trailer for down at Airlie Beach. And the staff that we've got now will be acquiring their own equipment. We have to. Other than that, I've got to treble what gear that we have got. But getting back to maintenance, when I clean a mower, it looks like it's been cleaned. When my wife cleans a mower, it looks like it's brand new. We keep a pretty close eye on the maintenance. It slips sometimes when it's raining and we're in a hurry to pack up and get out and stuff like that. But yeah, it's fairly important. And that message came through when I went down to training, how to
maintain all that sort of stuff.
Maintain your gear. Yeah.
Yeah. And I want to go back to again, because there's a photo I saw of you on a big excavator. I think it was up somewhere nice view. I don't know where it was, Noosa or somewhere. It looked really nice in the background. But you were on a big excavator.
Mount Whitsunday it was.
Mount Whitsunday, that's the one.
Airlie Beach, yeah.
Yeah, because I want to get, because it's not, even though it's called Jim's Mowing, as you've said before, you're doing commercial jobs, you're doing these thousands of dollars jobs and stuff. I said there's a massive misconception that people think it's just mowing lawns and that's it, which you can do if you want, but you've been able to facilitate this into some massive commercial jobs and all these variety of jobs as well. So it's not just mowing lawns. You're on an excavator in the Whitsundays, for example, or you're doing this massive cleanup. You've been doing site fencing, all this different stuff that I've seen you do. So maybe do you want to talk about just that variety of jobs that you've been doing?
Well, this is all you guys' fault. This all started from my training down there 12 months ago, because we got a contract to mow one person's yard on Mount Whitsunday. Next thing I know, I had the contract to do Mount Whitsunday. Next thing I have contacts in the earth moving game, because I've been in mining and construction my whole life. And these people up there, once again, performance, waiting 6 months to get someone to go in at the top of that mountain where you saw the photos, and I've sent you down more than one, especially when I check that the weather isn't real flash in Melbourne and we're having a brilliant day up here. I organised a 20-tonne excavator. Within 2 or 3 weeks, we got it up from down in Brisbane. And that was October last year. Performance, excellent job, cut and fill the block. Next thing we know, the place next door wants cut and fill. Now, that excavator came up, I'm pretty sure it was October, towards the end of October, beginning of November last year. It's still there, been working 7 days a week. One thing led to another. Next thing I know, there's a big site opposite Bunnings in Cannonvale, licensed, council-approved plans to put up 82 units and a hotel. Performance. The grass was 20 feet tall and the council were issuing notices to clean it up. So we went in and cleaned it up. Well, I'm now the project manager to put that project together. It's one thing led to another. So then we got a block of land opposite that on the main highway going into Shute Harbour. Now I'm being approached with government subsidies to put up NDI housing. It's all you guys' fault, because you got me into this mowing. And all that has led from one thing led to another.
No, it's great, Geoff. And I think obviously your personality has a lot to do with it as well. And are people surprised when you rock up? I'm not being ageist here. I guess I am a little bit, but are people surprised, when you rock up and they might be thinking, geez, this fella's older than I thought, and look at him go? Or what is the comments you're getting from customers?
Look at him go. That's a joke. I bluffed my way through brilliant there, because we've got nowadays you've got self-propelled mowers, right? So when everyone's looking, I have it on flat out. And then I go around the corner of the house and I stop there and I'm panting for breath and I put it on real slow until I come around and they can see me again. And then they think I'm working hard. My latest trick, when I've puffed out, and this morning I was cleaning up the head. We had a big hedging job to do this morning. And I said, righto, you blokes, you get on the hedges and I'll try and keep the grass going into the trailer and I'll keep in front of you, young blokes. By gee. When I saw them looking at me and I needed a breather, I just pulled my phone out of and put it up to my ear, and they thought I was talking on the phone to someone. And then I told them, I was just talking to Joel down in Melbourne. Got a meeting. But it's really enjoyable. As I said to you on the phone the other day, my biggest problem is the amount of weight I'm putting on. We've got all of these people that are very lonely. We've got customers that have just lost their husband last week, a month ago, or whatever, and they really need to talk. Some of these jobs, Gail and I only do them now because we couldn't afford to be there all that time with the staff, because all they want to do is it's the homemade scones and the homemade jam and cream and tea and coffee. And we're there 45 minutes to mow the lawn, whippersnip and edge and all that stuff, only a small block. We're there for 2 hours talking. So it's been a very interesting journey in 12 months, I can tell you.
And how is the body going overall? So how have you found you've lost a bit of weight? You feel more mobile and agile? How's it going?
I've put the weight on, all these scones and chocolates, and you got no idea. The body, as I say, it's saved a lot of money in gym fees, and I really look forward to going out there because even if it's hot, I know it's doing me good, and that's what's keeping me going.
Yeah, it's sort of interesting because you're in a really tough, like you'd be used to it, but like your climate's obviously it's pretty hot most days. You'd be sweating out a lot of stuff, putting fluids back in. You're physical, it's definitely a hard yakka where you are. But as you said, it's almost like you're in a sauna all day, but you're doing which we know are good for you. And then you obviously out there doing physical stuff outside in nature all the time. And plus, as you said, you get a lot of human interaction where you're dealing with your staff, you're dealing with customers. Like you've got all the stuff they say you should do as you get older, which a lot of people don't do, but you've got that in this business.
Yeah, in this business, that's perfect. That's why this business is, and I've made the inquiries about buying a gym's bookkeeping franchise. That's good. That will only be to make money. But the best thing for me is the mowing because of the exercise.
That's great. Now,
how do you enjoy it?
What do you enjoy? What's the most thing you enjoy about it? Is it the freedom? Is it the money? Is it the talking to people? What do you actually? What's your most enjoyable thing with it?
All of the above, Joel. Yeah. Everything that you mentioned. And the satisfaction of people saying this yard hasn't looked this good in 40 years.
Now, do you think your customer service standards are just from your previous history, or is it from you take your time, or what's it? Why do you get that comment so much then from your customers? What are you doing differently?
I've got some pretty good Irish jokes, which keeps me entertained. The other thing is service, as well as paying attention to detail.
Let's talk about service then. What is good service? Because everyone thinks they know good service until they don't experience it. So what is providing good service as a Jim's mowing franchisee? What should they be doing?
Make sure you let the customer know you're there. Make sure they go through exactly what they want, because we don't just mow and whippersnip. Very few houses we do that. The main thing is trimming their hedges up when they need it, doing a bit of weeding in the garden. Make sure we do what they want. And the most important thing is say, see you later when we go, and make sure they're happy with what we've done.
Now, do you bring them out to look through the job when you leave, or what do you do?
When I can, yes. I've got people that have been in wheelchairs and have quite a few health problems, but by gee, I make sure they look through the back window.
That's great. Yeah, that's great. It sounds basic, but sometimes people don't do it, and it can lead to issues sometimes. So that basic stuff.
And I've learned that from the independents. You've got no idea how many jobs we've got from independents, including other big franchise companies. We've won a lot of work from, and it's just performance and making sure the customer knows you're there, and make sure they're happy with what you've done, and make sure you say, see you later, we're going, we'll see you in a fortnight or a week or whenever. And next time, I'm not too happy with that hedge down there. Next time, I'll just tidy that up for you down the back there.
That's great.
Simple.
That's great. Are you happy with the level of income you're making in your business, with how much you're generating revenue? Are you happy with what you're making?
I was a relieving mine manager and I'm making a lot more money than that. And money at my age, it's the money, but it's the personal satisfaction. It's the job satisfaction that keeps me going. And it should be the same with everyone.
So I'm just going to go to the point. Like, obviously, you're making like people when they get a bit older, like, I've got to ration my money now because I'm on my super, and I'm trying to go over the thing to not get my pension limit, and they have to live a pretty, let's say, meager life. But I was going to say, with what you're doing at the moment, with how much you generate for yourself revenue wise, like you'd be able to do what you want when you want, and it gives you've got that peace of mind, and not having to worry about the pension being cut off because of this or that, because you don't really need it or anything like that.
No, not at all. And they're going to toss me off big time. By the end of the next 12 months, you've got no idea. Mr. Albanese is going to be knocking on my door. And it doesn't worry me. It's like, and the only reason we ended up on a pension because of that car accident we had. It took them an hour and a half to cut my wife out of the car.
Yeah.
And then, that was pretty serious stuff. And yet I used all of our resources, not all of it. We could have lived comfortably, but until I ran into gyms, I've started a new lease of life.
Now, why was retirement? You tried to retire 6 times and you just couldn't do it. So why is retirement to you a bad idea? And why is it? It's not concerning, but is it interesting? Like, we put this stuff up with you before. As I said at the start, we get the same comment. I hate to be working when I'm that age, or I'll be on a beach by then, or I'll be retired by a beach. And it's sort of like, do you find that a bit interesting, or that sort of mindset from, let's say, maybe younger people today?
Yeah, and you'll find they're not happy in their employment. Like, you've been there a long while because you just sit there with headphones on and don't do anything except talk. Whereas, you've got to be happy in what you're doing. And a lot of those people that are complaining, everyone's in charge of their own destiny, and these people aren't. They think they have to go and work doing this job, whether it be a mundane job or whatever. But you'll find those people that are whinging are people that are not happy in what they're doing. And there's no excuse for it. You find something that you like doing, and it's not work.
And what would your message to those people then be? These ones who are whinging, or let's say negative at other people for doing certain things. What would your message be to say to them?
Change your jobs. Do something that you're happy with. Get out of bed in the morning. Like, I've really had to change my lifestyle. I used to get up when I first started the Jim's franchise, and I'd start work at 2:00 in the morning doing paperwork and seeing who I can get $2.60 out for pulling the weed out of the garden. And so as I can afford to buy a loaf of bread. Now I find it's a lot better. Then 8:00 we'd start. We've always knocked off between 2:30 and 3. And I'll tell you what, in summer up here you have to. But the advantage of the climate and perspiration and so forth, it's a good excuse to put some refreshments back in when the sun goes down to regenerate your body.
I'm sure it's all water.
Look, you got to go through a lot of water up here, Joel. Yeah.
But so with someone looking, let's say someone, like, they see you and they're going, I'm inspired by this man, I want to do what he's doing. What would your advice be to them? Obviously, there's not just Jim's Mowing, there's other divisions in the Jim's group, but what would your advice to them to do it? Because it can be, especially I could imagine when you're a bit older as well, maybe to some older people, maybe looking to do something. Like, what would your words of encouragement or advice be for them?
Well, just like I said, there is no excuse for anyone to be out of work, and it's really hard work if you don't like what you're doing. Find something that you like doing. And I've said to many people, make the phone call, because there'll be something that within the Jim's group, if they can't find a regular job, especially the younger people, if they can't find a regular job somewhere with something they like doing, go and make a phone call and see what franchises are available that they would like doing. And then they start enjoying themselves, and it's not work. And
also with maybe some older people who are thinking maybe, I can't do that at that age, whereas you're showing proof that you can. Maybe do you want to talk about that sort of, maybe the older, someone who might be thinking about retirement or doesn't want to retire, and talk about why this vehicle could be an option for them? Well, that's the field that I will be targeting from here on in. I've proved to myself, and I didn't think it would happen. The income I've made is every bit of what they earn in the mines. I'm home every night, where these blokes have got to, some of them have to drive 4 hours. They do 7 days on, 7 days off. Well, the 7 days off, half the time they're recuperating from doing 16, 17 hours. They don't work that time, but some of these mines are an hour away from the camp where they're staying.
They've got to have a meal of a night, breakfast in the morning, get organised to go to work. So they're putting in 16, 17 hours a day. And then some of them got 4 hours drive all the way home. And their 7 days off is half of it. They only get actually 2 or 3 days where they can sit back and relax and get things done. There is a big opportunity there for those people to do a few days mowing on their days off. Keep occupied. But the older people, you've got no idea how many people I've met. And what I'm finding after speaking to you, look, this morning, like I'm past bringing the grandkids up to ask them how to turn the computer on, but you helped me get my audio sorted out this morning. It's only because I had the volume down. So, and a lot of older people don't even know what TikTok is, or what do you call it? TikTok.
TikTok, yeah, that's TikTok. The one. Yeah. You're on there, Geoff. You got a few 100,000. Actually, probably you'll be at like 500,000 views on TikTok. So there you go.
Really, I don't even know what it is. And I spoke to Dan the other day. Like in my life, there's a lot of blokes like me out there wouldn't even know what Facebook was. And every time I open up my computer, there's Facebook with 700 people on there saying, gee, it's a good day today, or someone's got something to sell, or the cat next door died, or something like that.
It's a pretty good summary of what it is.
Yeah, that's pretty well it. And a lot of people my age, which I will be targeting now, there's a big opportunity to start life over again, especially with this economic climate. They can do whatever they like.
Well, I think that's a good point, Geoff. You could say people can start life again. You're never too late, right? So you started.
Never too late.
I think you did training. Were you 70 out of 79 when you came here for training?
Pretty close to 80, yeah.
Yeah, pretty close. So, there's no excuses really, is there? No one can.
No, not at all. A lot closer to 80 than what I am to 75, I can tell you.
But
Jim won't catch me. He's trying to, but he won't.
How do you have such a positive attitude? Because a lot of people could be a bit more negative or a bit more jaded as they get older, and they might give up almost in a way. So how do you stay so positive?
Well, I think the enjoyment in life, and my wife keeps me going, keeps me on my toes too. Being in mining construction and going through life, you have a lot of ups and a lot of downs. And going down to gyms and meeting you guys, that was the start of another upcycle in my lifetime.
And yeah, so that's really, really good to hear. With where you are up in
except
Queensland.
some blokes in the advertising sector, yeah.
But where you are up in Queensland,
who keep holding you up when you're trying to mow lawns and you want to sit here on the TV or whatever. Yeah,
that's true. No, you've done some favours with the media. But I was going to say but where you are, what divisions do you think gyms could be up there? There's obviously mowing up there, but what other divisions do you see the need for?
Everything. There is no gyms and nothing between Mackay and Townsville, and even in Mackay and Townsville, and right the way through Bowen, Ayr, Home Hill, all the areas I'm covering, there is no gyms, nothing. And all the people, because I go out of the road to speak to the independents at the Greenways tip, I see a lady with a dog wash opposite where we're living in Cannonvale. She's got 3 trailers. She can only get enough staff to run 2, and she's run off her feet. The same with me. I've had, I think I counted it up a couple of days ago, I've had nearly 50 mowing jobs that I've had to turn down because we just couldn't handle it. So there is a big demand for everything in gyms right across the board for the whole of the Central Highlands, the coalfields, from Emerald up to Moranbah, Claremont, even further, and right up and down the east coast of Queensland.
Well, is there anything you want to mention that for people that we hardly asked you that you think might be helpful, or?
No, not really. Just if you're not happy and you don't know where your next loaf of bread's coming from, you're feeling a bit off, or you've had to take a redundancy package or whatever, ring up, make the phone call and just see what franchise, or get on the internet if they've got it. And that's another thing that I found. A lot of the older people my age haven't even got a computer.
And I think what you said as well at the start was really good, which people, stop whinging. And actually, if you don't like your job, make a change, right? People been whinging and being negative for a long time.
Yeah,
so
you're in charge of your own destiny. You fix it. No one else can fix it for you.
Absolutely. It's a great thing as well. So before we go, we're going to get that to you, Geoff, for a course. So you and the missus can go for 2 nights anywhere you want. I think there's multiple countries. So if you want to go overseas, you can go overseas and use it. But in Australia, there's heaps of things. It's 2 complimentary nights at your favourite hotel, 50% of dining, 50% of drinks. I'm sure you like the 15% of drinks. and all these different room rates as well. So big
Well,
thank
thank
you
you
to
very
that.
much. I mean, is there one of those motels right next to your place? Because I'm going to come down and haunt you.
Well, you got to come in. There's some hotels. It's the Sofitel, the Pullman, the Novotel. There's a lot of different hotel brands that Accor's a part of. So up where you obviously are, there's a lot of resorts and stuff. So they'll be on here as well. So 2 free nights on Jim's group, and big thank you to Accor as well for this program. But thank you to yourself for being such a positive influence and bringing a lot of life around the brand. It's of inspiration to a lot of people who see you, Geoff. When they see you on socials, you always do really well. So it's really good to have you in your videos.
Thank you for the comments.
You always get 6-figure views, so it's always good to chuck you on there. And it's a real big inspiration. It's a good simple. It's simple advice, but a lot of people don't do it. But it's something that if they're not happy with their circumstance and find themselves being negative and stuff all the time, make a change.
Yeah, only you can fix it. Yeah,
that's right.
So there might be a job for you sweeping the storeroom out down the back, Joel. If you're not happy with wearing headphones all day.
Well, exactly. I just got to look at you and chuck on a mowing shirt, and away we go. No, thanks, Geoff.
All right, Joel.
Appreciate it, mate.
I plan on coming down to say hello to the Rat Pack and talk about all these other things we've been talking about, franchises and areas.
Oh, we'd love to get you in training. So, if you do come down during a training week, and we'll get you to talk to the group.
It took me 3 months to get over the last time you was down there for training.
Yeah,
you young blokes leading me astray. But but I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait for spring.
Awesome.
I'm not coming down there in winter again.
No. But thanks, Geoff. Well, thank you. Appreciate for your time today. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Joel.
Thank you for listening to the episode of the Gyms podcast. If you want to learn more about the Gyms Group, head to gyms.net or call us on 131 546 Australia or 0800 454 654 New Zealand. And if you did like the episode as well, please make sure you leave a review or a comment or a thumbs up or a comment on the video as well. We appreciate your support. And until next episode, we hope you have a great week.